before Sean says something else. Oh, nice.
I'm just trying to find my next best.
This fool.
Do you guys know about Field? It's like a site that's only like for hooking up.
For what?
Just for hooking up. Like they'll just be like.
Yeah.
So it'll be, you know.
That's what it is. That's a new Tinder.
This is more. Yeah, this is like straight up like, look, you know what it is.
That's what Tinder turned into, right?
I think that's all it was. But yeah.
I think so.
But this is like, yeah, more obvious. But yeah.
What are the benefits? Oh, okay, so it's
some
more
benefits.
obvious.
What are the benefits?
The benefits is friends with benefits.
Right.
None of that relationship shit. And also like fantasies, like we're recording. If you want to,
Yeah.
Fantasies.
like bondage,
Oh
all
god.
that shit. Like if you're into that.
I thought you meant dragons and shit when you said fantasy. Anyway,
Not that Marco stuff. Man.
those are dungeons.
Yeah,
Those are
the Dungeons and Dragons.
Put me in the dungeon.
I do adult fantasy shit. They fuck with the kid fantasy.
Anyway, we're back for episode 7 with Sean McDonald, the legend of our community.
That he is.
That is, Sean has been around longer than both of us. No, he hasn't. I'm joking.
I thought it was about to land into a
I was
crazy
gonna
joke.
say, I was gonna say James Earl Jones, but it's too soon. Too soon.
All
Shout out
right,
James Earl Jones.
all right.
Shout out to the greatest voice cinema has ever seen. I would say, probably.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Very.
Definitely.
Apparently, I mean not apparently. He was a theater actor too, and it's like everybody remembers him for, well, not everybody, but
Darth
our
Vader.
generation at least. Ours too. It's not the
Yeah.
youngest.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
When Star Wars came out, you know, not a lot of people believed in it. Him as an actor, they were like, you can get $7,000 up front or get royalties. But at that time, you know, being a struggling actor, theater actor, he took the $7,000, and someone did the math, and the royalties would have been like $200 million.
Holy Moses!
Crazy.
He took the $7,000 for
At the time, in 1970, whatever.
Yeah,
Star Wars came out.
76, 78.
Yeah,
But you're
George
talking
Lucas-
about the first movie, or you're talking about overall
Star Wars.
7,000 for the role itself?
To be the voice of Darth Vader, like the first.
Oh, he meant in like just the 3 movies, or in just that first one?
I think in that first one, it was like, we have
first one, probably
$7,000
for the
budget.
one.
Cause,
Okay.
But I think people at the time was like, this shit ain't gonna blow up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then it just became this thing. But how he kept his, if he got his royalties, it would have been like 200 million. Some
Wow.
crazy shit.
He still did all right.
Yeah, he did.
I think that nobody was a star in that movie, like a big star at the time, movie star. So there was no actual reason to think that the movie was gonna make it to what it was. Especially
Right.
since it was a new genre and it wasn't a new genre, but the presentation of the movie itself was relatively new to the age it came out in, and so it was very like science fiction, but fancy science fiction kind of, right? Not like we see the future science fiction.
What else was around at that time?
I mean, whatever it was like more like robots and computers and stuff, like
Right, that
predictions
kinda-
of the
that
future
kinda
rather than
sci-fi.
actual.
Yeah.
That kind of sci-fi. Whereas this is more like fancy sci-fi. Like there's distant worlds in a galaxy far, far away. So I wouldn't believe in that thing either if I were to be invited there.
Like, give me that
$7,000.
7,000.
7,000 at the time is.
I would have probably been like, give me 5 right now.
What is that? Probably like.
I would have renegotiated that shit quick. Give me 5 in cash. Like, I don't want 7 in the check.
You're gonna put it on a payroll
Give me that big check.
Give me 5 in cash.
under the table. Don't worry about the payroll. You don't have to pay payroll taxes.
Under the table, yeah.
Yeah.
But I hope in the end, George Lucas, if this story rings true, which it seems to be valid, that like, he probably didn't, but like, give his family some of those royalties, but I'm sure he didn't.
Who knows? Who knows? But what I was trying to say is that Jack Nicholson famously took
I heard that.
royalties for Batman, right?
Oh, that's right. He took points on the back.
He took points from
and became the highest paid actor ever.
He's not the only one. He made like I don't know how many hundreds of millions out of that, but he's not the only one who's doing
For Batman.
that. Yeah, for
Yeah.
Batman.
I feel like
specifically.
those moves are easier to do when you got money.
Well,
Like if I was sitting on 100 million, I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, I'll do some back end shit. I'm gonna. play
not
with
only that, but he has the star power to do it.
He had the star
If
power.
if you ask, so you go to a movie that has nobody, there is absolutely nobody's in there. You know, nobody heard of those actors. Fucking Harrison Ford was a carpenter on the stage before that or something. You know,
Yeah.
he was not even an actor. So when when you see the cast and you're like, what exactly is gonna sell here? You know, there is no famous people here to sell, nothing. So why would I take points?
Right. So like an ensemble cast is what they call it when it's like a lot of star power. But now that can like, I think we're in a time now where you don't know what's gonna blow up. Like you look at like Wednesday, that I know that spinoff for the Addams Family.
You didn't do anything?
No, I did amazing, but everyone thought it was just this like little show that was gonna happen, and it's like shit could blow up.
It was a new Wednesday.
Yeah, because I think
Jenna,
the story. Yeah, exactly. Now she all over the place. She done blew up, but I think they thought that was gonna be something different. But
what's her name?
Jenna Ortega?
I think it's Jenna Ortega. Yeah.
Something like that.
Isn't that like a porn star's name?
I don't know. I don't consume porn.
No.
As much as I used to. Actually.
That's very different from how it sounded initially. I don't consume porn as much as I used to. It's
actually,
like,
none. I used to consume.
I don't watch anymore. And I don't watch any less either, but
I used to say I don't drink anymore. Only less.
Or less. I'm keeping it level.
I watch it and then I feel guilty right after. It's this weird shit that's
happened. That's part.
I don't know where that came from.
That's part of the thing.
Isn't that like
that sort of happened to me close to the end?
Post-nut clarity? Isn't that what it's called? And guilt?
No, well, that's usually with someone. You're like, but by yourself, I'm like, damn.
The guilt is a result of the clarity, I think.
Why did I do this? And then I'm back doing it.
not even the next day.
No. At my age, I'm a one a dayer.
And this is why we got this guy over here.
I'm not the only one.
Cut.
We were saving this conversation for the camera. We were saving.
They're gonna edit this down.
Sean, no, we're not. That's the funny part.
It's gonna make me look clean and cool and shit and smart and articulate. You won't hear the word.
You know that the three people that are gonna watch this know you, so it's okay.
They're gonna hit that fast forward shit.
You know what's funny is I'm gonna tell that the camera and Ian, because Ian wasn't here. Before we turned the camera on, what were we talking about? Longevity, science, medicine.
Smart shit.
Smart shit.
Smart shit.
We actually
Earth, wind, fire, all that shit. And it's like the moons, the stars, logistics.
And the band.
Now we were talking about living like nowadays with like cell technology.
Right, let's see what he thinks about that.
Like it might be possible to live longer by like manipulating like cells and DNA.
In the near future.
We were talking about
how much longer.
We put an arbitrary number on it. Let's just say you could live to be 200.
Okay.
And then we were discussing like, well, that means you would have to probably work twice as long to like retire. How does that work out? Like, are you physically able to like?
That's what I'm saying. Is it like, how strong or healthy am I?
Yeah.
Do I start getting old at 90 or do I start getting old at 150 or 60?
Let's say, for the sake of argument,
start getting old.
Let's say let's scale it properly. Let's say 150 you start getting old. So you have all this time.
And then you got 50 years to live in retirement as opposed to like maybe 20 years now, 25.
But during that time, you still got to you still have these responsibilities, right? You still have to have you still have to live and work and retire and travel and do all this stuff. You just have more time to do that. You have more time to get it together, things like that. I don't know. And then I'm already bored.
As it is.
Like,
that's what I think is.
I'm like,
everyone wants to live forever until it's time to live forever.
Then there's the other problem that we actually didn't speak about. I was you put into retirement, you put into Social Security and stuff like this, but forget about retirement because this is mostly investment, you know, like whatever 401k and IRAs and stuff. That's investments. So the investments usually go with as the stock exchange goes up, and that goes up better than inflation. But Social Security doesn't. I don't think so. So if you're going to be paying into Social Security, so if you're paying into Social Security throughout your career, which is doubled now,
we might not get Social Security.
I've heard that.
Social Security might run out before we get.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I think we should be able to pull our shit out now.
Right, like
I'm like, let me get mine now. I don't want to wait to 65.
How old are you? I'm old.
No, let me.
You're like, you mean on on papers or physically? Because
I
I
don't
feel
trust it.
really old.
I don't
I
trust
don't.
it.
Yeah, I don't trust it either.
But anyway, the thing is that even if it doesn't run out, that thing is gonna get killed by inflation. Inflation, like
100%.
we were talking about $7,000 for James Earl Jones 50 years ago.
Right.
That
would've
probably
been
is the
like-
equvalent of about
Like 50K now.
yeah, maybe not as much, but probably about 30 at least.
Something like
yeah,
that,
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah, good money, right? And so, but I mean, good difference, big inflation. So that means that I mean,
Big inflation.
yeah. So about 100 or what are we now? 50. So about 100 years from now, we retire. You know,
100,000 or something. That would
it's like you're gonna have all your years of Social Security that you've been putting in is gonna amount to you living about 10 years because.
Right.
I think it all boils down to the quality of life. Like if I'm like my knees hurt,
It's almost not
100
worth
years
it.
of knees hurting. You know what I mean? Like
That's not cool.
I'm already at.
But don't
20
you think
years
that
of
at
knees
that
hurting.
point, well,
Oh, like science would be able to like.
well, no, not just that, but if you're able to live double the length of the life that you have now, like so, let's say now we live 100 years, but then you're gonna live 200 years. Your knees start hurting at around 40, let's say, and we do jiu-jitsu, so they start hurting at 12.
Right.
But
Right.
the thing is that they start hurting earlier now. But let's say your knees start hurting at 40. By 80, you want to be over with this shit, right?
Yeah.
But then you have all the grandkids and all that stuff, and so you're like, oh, well, not you too, but still, you know, and you're, and you're all happy and stuff, you know. So you're like, I would rather live to 100. So you are gonna live to 100 with this bad, shitty knees and shoulders and all that
Right.
stuff. However,
Fuck all that.
but at the age of 200, when at that point when we're gonna be dying at 200, our knees are not gonna start hurting until we're like 80 or 90 years old.
Hopefully.
Why? Well, yeah,
Hopefully.
because you're thinking about it
Hopefully.
this way, but I'm saying why? Because we're gonna be, in order to live to 200 years,
You think
our
it's
cells must
technology?
be. Yeah, I think that we need to stay, not rejuvenated, but we need to stay
like their health
young
will
longer,
keep up
young.
with it?
Yes,
Yeah.
young and healthy longer.
if we
In a
want-
perfect world.
The downside is that you still got 120 years to live with shitty knees, as opposed to 40 or 50 now. You know.
If we,
It seems
I
like
would,
a
I would be
long-
more for it if we had technology that was like, that's not even the worry anymore. Like,
Right.
your knees are bad, just do this little scan, you're back to being young.
Yeah, they do the scan now. They just don't fix your knee.
No, that's what I'm saying. I need the fixing part to come
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
knees.
I mean, yeah.
But I don't
Wishful
know.
thinking. There's
like,
so much going on down there.
Also, I'm like, how many?
And the back and
200
the
years. How many
shoulders.
times I'm going to go to the pier? How many times am I going to go to a
Right.
movie?
I live by
Right?
the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I used to live like right down there. Dude, how many times did I go to the beach?
And,
Right.
and when we're talking with Sean,
How many goddamn relationships do I want to fail in 200 years?
this is crawling on me. What's that app called?
Doom scrolling from
Yeah,
not even
oh my
looking.
God. Our fingers are going to be all fucked up. We're going to, everyone's
can
fingers
tell.
are going to be
You
weird
can-
where they're like,
You
oh,
got
they're-
calluses on your fingers.
Look at his fingers.
that shit going to be bent.
Oh my god! But how's your shoulder?
You know, I'm,
That's right. Last time I
just
saw him,
the-
it was like,
Yeah. Damn, I think I'm like almost 20 weeks post-surgery. I saw the orthopedic last week, and he usually fucking scan shit, x-ray, looked at my tendon, was like, it's doing great, 6 more weeks, and then we should be done. Me and him are done in PT, meaning I can go back to shit. Cause
How many more?
6 more. It was 6 weeks last week, so like 5 more weeks.
okay.
So he did a few things to my shoulder. I had a rotator cuff tear, little slap tear, labrum repair, and bicep tendinosis, and scar tissue from all the years of jiu-jitsu. So it's not just like that. The injury that I got was like the straw that broke the camel's back. You know what I mean? It wasn't just that one thing.
What was the injury itself? Was the labrum?
Well, the injury itself was a slap tear, and then when they did the MRI, they found some more, but they don't really know until they actually go in there.
Yeah.
It's like they can kind of see things, but when they go in there, it's like, oh. And even before the surgery, he was like, let you know if I find something, I'm gonna fix it. I'm not gonna.
Oh, they do this. What's the surgery called?
Orthoscopic. Yeah.
Orthoscopy. So they actually have a camera when they do the surgery, and they can see what's that's what they told me about
It's
my
3
knee.
points. They go here, here, and back. They go in there. Well, my scars are a little better.
Oh yeah.
And there's one in the back, and they go in, which is crazy that they could do that. But they're like really going in there. But I think for all the years of being, arm bars and all that feeling, that scar tissue that built up in there, scrape that out. And they basically, bicep tendinosis is they cut your bicep a little bit and then reattach it. So, yeah, it's like damage. So,
How does it feel now?
honestly, 3 months ago, I was like, I don't see an end to this. It doesn't necessarily hurt except when I sleep on it. But there's still, the worst part is the rotator cuff muscle. There's like 4 rotator cuffs, and they all work in unison. But one of them is like, had repair on it. So this movement, the kind of chicken wing thing, it's the last thing to come back. Okay. And it's like, that's where like the most pain I have. Like if someone was to come near me, I'd have to tap right there.
So you don't do any PT now at all?
I do PT.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. So I do I'm probably on my like 40th session right now.
Oh, that's right. I saw you said. I thought you said so. Yeah.
So yeah, I got to do PT, but it's through doctor's orders. So he's just like, I can't do certain exercise, can't lift a certain weight. They have to stick to it, and then I have to check in with him every 5 or 6 weeks, and he says I'm either improving or not, and then he ups new plans. Like, okay, now take his arm 45 degrees out for the next 5, to kind of strengthen that. But now I'm able to do like a plank. I could do a couple of push-ups on a medicine ball, like with the weight supported. But yeah, it's just more like getting those tendons to reattach. Like the body's a human it's a beautiful thing, like the way that it repairs itself. But man, I didn't realize how much damage I did just from like years of
wear and tear.
But really from like, it speeds up a little bit with jiu-jitsu, like the most injuries.
Oh, that's what I meant, wear and tear. Actually. I mean,
just my life.
Driving.
Like you've been drinking.
Scrolling.
You just old, wear it and tear it out, motherfucker.
I know.
Got nothing to do with it. But like, would you guys agree? I think like the most common injuries in jiu-jitsu, knock on wood, is like either knee related or shoulder related.
Knee or shoulder, yeah.
And then like probably a smaller percentage with neck shit, right? I think
neck, back, sometimes.
Oh yeah. Like normal shit, like neck, back, and that shit, like sciatica.
Yeah, that
I think that's normal, but I'm talking about like as far as surgeries, it's mostly ACL, MC, whatever L, and shoulder shit. So I guess I'm. I was like, man, if I had to choose, I guess I'm happy that it's the shoulder, because I definitely had knee issues when like heel hooks and everything kind of became a thing, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and people were cranking too hard, not surgery wise, but just like, damn, my ankle's fucked up, and I'm out for like a month or 2, or you fucked your knee up weirdly and you're just out, like things that you could bounce back from. But I'd hate to like not be able to walk for 4 weeks. I'm one of them little willy motherfuckers.
Oh my gosh.
So now it's like, but I say the Jiu-Jitsu Grim Reaper got me.
Are you looking forward to coming back?
I am. I don't have no like PTSD.
Well, why don't you tell how it happened? Because that's also something that's not your usual you.
All right, kids. One, I'll say this, and this is something that I never really did, but preventative as far as like lifting weights and stretching probably would have helped me out in this situation. Because I never lift weights. We just, we lift humans and play around. And that's only place I got my strength from was just rolling. But I can see now, like, my arm was weak in certain places that I was just compensating for. And, like, it's in pain. But stretching and lifting probably would have tightened some of those tendons up and muscles to be able to brace the impact that I had. So basically, I was over at the Coop, and I was doing my thing. I was feeling myself. Oh, okay, yeah, shoulder rolling, feeling good. And this young cat, he goes to a tour. I forget his name, but he was in the last quintet. Really nice guy. And we were going, and he stood up, and I was kind of on my knees and pause, and I tried.
Pause.
I tried to shoot I don't know why. Something told me to ankle pick them. Like sometimes I'll do an ankle pick on people and it'll just work.
Yeah.
You know, it's like no rhyme or reason. Probably, I don't know. I probably if I should have used my left or right arm, but when I sprawl out, he did a full body sprawl right here, right where the arm feels like it separates. And he obviously not on purpose or anything. He just did it. He sprawled. He reacted. You know what I mean? And I know he's a competitor. And man, when I tell you, I screamed.
Was he drastically bigger than you, or
taller? He's not weight, but he's a pretty fit guy, tall and quick, and he's
Explosive. Yeah,
explosive.
that's it.
And it was just one of those things where it's like, had I went left, it would have never happened. You know what I mean? So it's like no one to blame but myself and just fucking
The jiu-jitsu gods really,
and just faith. Yeah,
because it's like
right. My arm could have been at a different angle, and it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
But man, when I tell you, and I don't know if you guys ever heard it in here. I've heard it in a gym where someone screamed.
I've heard it one time,
and you just know
it scared me to death.
Yeah, I heard it, and I knew that scream. It's not like a pain scream. It's like somebody tore something.
You heard it from yourself?
No. Like I've heard that sound before, but I'm sure my scream was that sound. The way that I would, like the sound that I made.
Yeah.
Because when I looked up, everybody was like, stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of course, motherfuckers just go back to rolling. I'm like, wait a minute, ain't nobody gonna check on me?
That was good while it lasted.
I'm guilty too. You motherfuckers like, you all right? You know, just keep it. But
people keep it moving.
But something that was like, it was different this time. Like, you know, I was like, oh, I can't. Yeah, I think I'm done. And I was like, I can't just continue.
I
waited a few minutes. No, it tore. There was a slap tear.
Yeah,
right.
so, but it wasn't, it didn't.
No, but you know, in the beginning when you feel like something, you're like, I don't know what it is. I'm like, damn, there's something off? I didn't think it tear. I thought it was like a normal, like, you know, when you've been arm barred before and you're like, oh, it hurts.
Right, yeah.
You know?
A little hyperextension?
Yes, that's what I thought it was. So I was like, I'm going to go ice the shit. Tomorrow I'll be fine. So left there, and then it didn't get better, and it kept kind of getting worse. And so I tried PT for like maybe a month or two. Because I was like,
wow.
I was like, I didn't want to get surgery, but two, I did an x-ray before an MRI. When I took the x-ray to the doctor, they were like, oh yeah, it doesn't look like.
But actually, I can't tell the tendons in the shit, can it?
I think it doesn't really get in there granular like you need it to.
Correct.
Right?
I think it. Yeah, it doesn't.
It gives them
Plus,
an idea.
also, I think with
or maybe you can tell the tendons.
with
you
my
can see
insurance,
ligaments.
they're gonna say try PT first anyway to get an MRI and all that bullshit. So I did PT and done. Of course, I was still rolling, just more in pain and like, you know, that type of shit. And might have done a little bit more damage, might not, because the PT was balancing it, but it wasn't getting better. Like it was still hurting to the point where I was like, man, this is something wrong with this, because I'm like, I'm tapping here now.
Yeah.
You know, it's oh man, all right, something's wrong. All of a sudden, like I'm tapping at these weird angles. I'm like, that's weird. I can't tap here, but here I got to tap. I never felt that before. So then I went back I got the MRI, and then
Did you have to? This is totally off the subject. Did your health insurance totally pay for the MRI?
Once I did the PT and they signed off that PT wasn't helping and there's something deeper.
That's a problem.
I have to take an MRI for something, and I have to pay. It's like $800, and I'm like, my insurance is. I have decent insurance, which I'm paying like a pretty penny for, and I'm like, why do I have to pay $800 and something for this MRI?
That's a lot of money for
it's
an MRI.
a lot of money.
That is.
I mean,
Especially
you can go up to $1,500, but but I paid $300 for mine.
Yeah, I think
or $350.
I think if
I
you're
would
gonna
still
pay cash,
complain if with what I have to pay a month for my health insurance, I would still complain about $300 extra, because usually my copays when I have to get blood work done, it's like $40 here or whatever. That's cool. But $800, I'm like, what am I paying for with insurance?
Right. Yeah, that whole shit's a scam too. But
I think it's a scam too.
You know, the worst part is what you said is I think that in order to get an MRI, you need to see a doctor first. The doctor has to give you an order for the MRI. So you can't just walk into an MRI, because there's a lot of private places like I did. You know, I just went out of pocket. That's it.
Well,
They didn't
my
ask
doctor sent me to get an MRI too, but it's just not.
But,
it's
but
$800.
the thing is that his doctors didn't want to send him because the insurance wouldn't want him to do it.
I did like
I get
there's
it.
two ways. Like if you do your due diligence and you like present your case to sorry, you present your case to the insurance company that, hey, I've been doing PT, I took an X-ray, I've done, let's say, in my case, I did 15 or 20 sessions of PT before I got the MRI.
Okay.
Because I was really like, let me get back with PT.
And the insurance pays for the PT.
Yeah. So they were like, all right, pay for PT, and then it's like, okay, this didn't work. Now you qualify for the MRI. I could go do that. Took the MRI. It's like, all right, you got a slap tear. And then they were just like, yeah, you should get it. You should get.
That's kind of weird. You would think that an MRI would cost cheaper than 20 sessions of PT. For the the insurance.
I wasn't trying to get an MRI fight. So I was just going through PT, thinking that that's all I needed to do. To like, I was like, I'm gonna do X amount. My shoulder's gonna be better. I'll be back in a couple months stronger. So at that point, when I went to get the MRI, I already had a case. Like, damn, well, you already did this, and that. It was just there. Like, I wasn't like, I need to get an MRI so I can get insurance. I thought the shit was gonna go away after X amount of time.
Yeah.
But
you
it
know,
didn't.
I read something today. Val sent me, it was just today actually, about a funny thing that the better you get at jiu-jitsu, the more it would be beneficial to you to start lifting on the side. Not that it wouldn't be before, but it would be because from what I understood of the whole thing is that the better you are, the less strength you're going to use, the less the less your muscles get worked out. They do get worked out. They just don't get worked out like before. Like before, you would try and push people off, and you know how you get tired, you get gassed after 2 rounds.
Yes.
Now you can go 40 minutes and you don't get gassed. You know, depending on who you're going with and stuff, but still, right? And so it's.
I agree. Like, you definitely gotta have.
So I think that your muscles are not experiencing the same thing they were like 6 years ago.
And also
in jiu-jitsu terms.
That for sure, but also strengthening. Like, we only like work on certain muscles in jiu-jitsu. Like jiu-jitsu, yeah, it's a full body sport, but depending on what you do, it's not like you're using every single one of your muscles equally to like.
Especially if you're good. Especially if you're good, the better you become.
So I agree. Like, when I come back, I'm definitely going to implement like a strength and training in my shoulders. And if I was smart, I've been doing the stairs, like getting your knees and joints together, because you know that's what everyone's attacking, our goddamn joints. Right. It's like I'm walking around like doing a shoulder roll and a hip escape is going to fucking.
It's amazing.
None of us here are experts on this, but what do you think would be more beneficial once you get healthy, fully healthy, for you or for us? Should we, maybe Ian can answer, you used to lift, should we lift heavier or should we lift lighter with more frequency? I
would imagine lighter with more frequency.
That's what like even PT is telling me.
Because I think what I used to do when I would just lift hard. And I just think that puts so much pressure and stress. I think when I was younger, I was more able to deal with that.
Right.
I wouldn't want to try that experiment now. I think it would hurt too much, and I just don't think it would be as beneficial.
So you were just like,
I was going hard, and to the point where I wanted to see gains and stuff. So I'm lifting like hard, eating a bunch.
And the worst part is that you look at yourself all the time in the mirror and you don't see any gains, obvious gains, visible, like
when I was
as you would if I don't see you for 2 weeks and then I see you, oh shit, and what are you juicing, you know?
Right.
And band work, like I'm not thinking like the powerlifting. I think younger me probably would have been like, yeah, I'm gonna put 245 up. I'm like, shit. I mean, right now I'm having a hard time lifting 15 pounds with one arm, but I'm thinking like maybe kettlebell kind of routine, light. I don't think it's about like heaviness. I think it's about the repetition and like the movement and just kind of strengthening, and maybe band work. Mm-hmm. But if I did like a bar like that, definitely I'd work my way up to that slowly, because I still, even though I'm getting cleared in 5 weeks, the PT told me to look at it like 10% a month, right? So even though I'm cleared, it's like give it 10 months or a year before you're just like, all right, my shit is like 100%. Like I don't, it's not gonna like it's not gonna re-tear from a crazy arm bar. You know what I mean? Like, so I still got to go in cautious and smart, which I'm going to, because I mean no one has any plans of like being injured and doing that. And definitely, as an older practitioner, that's right, ladies, older. You gotta take care of yourself.
In terms of
Like,
practitioner. Of course.
but no, seriously, like I think about this too. Like, you know, I'm 47. My training is different than, you know, the powerlifting 20 guy. Like I can't take too many like sprawls on my shoulder, and I can't move in a certain way. So I definitely have to like retool my game to work for like my age appropriate. Sure. Not to say I can't, you know, I'm always gonna fucking want to get scrappy with youngsters, but just like how I train and how I roll is gonna be different than a 27-year-old version of me. For sure. And I'm starting to accept that. Like my mind did not accept that in the beginning. I was like, fuck that. I'm gonna rape choke. No, I'm just playing. I'm gonna choke someone. But now it's like, nah, we move different. I mean, speaking for myself, but it's different. You know what I mean? And you go all these young guys right now.
You saw them earlier, no? That's fucking crazy.
When he was doing it, I was getting tired looking at it. I was like,
you and Mike were talking about
Tobias was like doing
them like, blowing their knees and stuff. And just from watching them, I'm like, oh shit, you know, like, oh shit, his knee's gonna, you know.
But picture this. Picture a 47-year-old Tobias. He ain't doing that. With his little bald spot where the yarmulke is.
You know that these guys don't realize, but because they're young and they start young and all that stuff, and they're going full speed. 10 years from now, it's gonna be a different body you're looking at there, 100%. Man.
Yeah, I mean,
but
shit.
That just happens.
That's happened to us. Like
it happens to.
I was going hard when I was young. You know, like
right,
shit.
but we also started at an older age.
True.
Compared to them.
Oh,
that's
I see
what
you're
saying.
I mean. Yeah. I definitely. When did you guys start jiu-jitsu? Can I? Yeah, y'all don't have to date yourselves. I'll date myself.
39.
I started when I was fairly young.
Oh no, I was 40.
In the first iteration of my jiu-jitsu, I started like in '96.
Oh, so you had the young version.
Yeah,
I love that.
I've been there.
Yeah, but you did wrestling also, so it's kind of like.
I did do wrestling.
Yeah.
I wish I did that, man.
That was just when I stopped my college.
Maybe you would have reached with the other hand if you.
Right,
yeah. Were you all the way extended?
Right, good technique.
Were you extended when he came down?
So
on
yeah, because I went to shoot for him.
Because that's gonna open.
So
it up.
then that opened it up. And
yeah.
It was like maybe, and he was such a cool dude. He was like, man, you know, it wasn't malicious or nothing like that.
Yeah.
But
I get it. I had a guy had me in a Kimura, and I remember thinking, oh, I felt good, and then we both heard pop, pop, pop.
Y'all look at each other like,
dude, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Shout out Scott Turner.
What up,
from
Scott?
Virginia.
You out here pop locking, Scott.
Dude, that was when he was like, we were both like young. He's got like a family now. I see him on Instagram. But we just like, oh man, that shoulder, it still bothers me. Damn. But it's like I've learned how to
compensate for it.
It's funny because your ankle picks are on that side. I'm just saying.
100%.
I'm just saying.
That's
yeah. No, yeah, I started 2010. So remember I walked into Verdun's, saw Gustavo, and he was like, train.
But you started Muay Thai in there, no?
No, I added Muay Thai.
Oh, you added it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I tried to, I was going to be an old MMA fighter. I ain't going to lie. I was like, I'm going to fucking do this. And then I got socked up at King's, and I was like, I'm done.
Was Gustavo a brown belt then?
No, I think he just got his black belt. He just got it from Verdun. But he was, you remember those days. He was the best dude there. I loved him. And Fernando. So those were some good times, man. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that was my, so 2010, that put me at 14 years. So, 33? I'm trying to do the math. I hope I'm sorry.
33.
Yeah, so definitely
later. 33 is not a bad age. I mean, it's not. You're
still fairly young.
33, back when it was all about the gi. I wasn't even fucking with no gi at that time. It was just I could never fit a gi properly.
You know that
awkward.
You know what I
pants was always too small. Jacket was too big. I was like, man,
I started in this gym. I didn't start in this gym, but I started I took a couple of classes elsewhere. But this is the gym that I've been pretty much since the very beginning.
Uprise, Way of the Warrior.
Way of the Warrior, and then Uprise MMA. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's the same gym. They just rebranded. Yep. But the thing is, we've always had at that time we had equal amount of classes gi and no gi.
Right.
Now it's like 2 classes a week in the gi.
2 classes a week.
But my point is that you said that in the beginning you were not doing any no gi at all, and you probably as well, except that you had a wrestling background, so you did grappling in no gi essentially. Right. But for me, ever since I started, to think that gi is the only way to do grappling is kind of weird, you know. Like I never thought of it this way in the back then.
Yeah.
Because I remember before I ever started jiu-jitsu, I was with a friend of mine, Mike Millian, and he had done some MMA and jiu-jitsu before then. He's unranked. He's never done gi at that point, and he was showing me some stuff. So my very, very first experience with jiu-jitsu was not in the gi. Mm. So I could understand why there would be gi and no gi. Okay. You know.
I see.
So.
Yeah.
To me, it would be like, I was just thinking about it. I could never imagine jiu-jitsu not being without the gi as well. You know, just being one-dimensional in the gi. Just wouldn't make sense to me, ever.
I remember when gi-less was, no gi was,
weird.
We used to call it gi-less. Weird. It was exotic. It was like ADCC was like, oh, they got a tournament together without the gi. That was like
gay.
Not gay. It was exciting because it was like, oh man, they're doing like the weird secret stuff. They're doing the gi without the gi.
I think I saw that at Metamorph.
Metamorph turned into a clown show, but originally it was.
It was like a little.
The shows were always cool. The matches were cool.
Wasn't a bad show.
I saw that. It was like at UCLA once. I was like, yeah, it was a great idea.
It was a great idea. He just kind of.
Who was it?
Halleck.
Oh, Halleck Gracie.
Yeah.
He ended up owing people money and shit.
They were spending a lot of money on. They had the.
But it looked not like the presentation was dope.
Yeah.
You know? It looked really cool.
All right, I was gonna say this about the gi while it's on my mind. So when I started, I felt like, and maybe this is just a thing, not to diss any gyms, but like. You start and they be like, all right, here's the gi too for like $150.
Dude, you're talking about 14 years ago. That shit is still going.
No, I'm just saying. I feel like
some places.
I feel like it was like the starter.
Places,
it was like your starter pack. You know what I mean? Like here's your belt. Tie that shit.
Gracie Academy was
and then
like
it was like get a patch, and you're like, you know.
And it's like this. It's like this. Okay, so your monthly is, I don't know what it was there, but it was like 150, let's say.
Let's say
150.
That's about right, I think.
You do a $30 sign up. Like, what is that for? Why do I pay $30 sign up? You know why? Because every fucking gym gets away with that.
Then of course you had to get the T-shirt.
You gotta.
You had to get the T-shirt.
And now come, let me show you the secret room.
And
take it to the back room. That's where all the equipment is and all that shit, the spats and all that.
Yeah.
But we don't do that much no-gi here. Maybe once a week on Friday evenings, you know. So I'll tell you what you really need is 2 of those because you need to wash them and you know.
You always had 2.
Yeah, 2 gis.
Yeah, it was so.
It's tough running a gym, I'm sure.
And in some gyms, and I've heard, I have no anecdotal experience with it, where you had to like wear their specific gi with the badges. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not that you can just go get a generic white gi. It was like, you have to have this gi.
Like Gracie
branded.
Baja?
Gracie Baja, yeah. I believe that's they have a whole starter pack.
I was all about
was like that, I thought. Some 10th Planets.
I think you can wear anything there, including a strap-on.
Shout out 10th Planet.
Pause. No.
No Diddy.
Just came out today, dude. Oh my god.
He's in trouble.
I saw that meme that he when they went to arrest him, he had his own handcuffs ready.
I heard he did a shoulder roll into the jail cell.
No bail. No bail.
You can't on them trafficking charges. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Why
no bail. He's in trouble.
That's the
biggest.
It
ain't like he could hide.
Dude, that's the biggest.
Everybody gonna know what this motherfucker at. Like, there he is.
Wearing a silver suit.
Them phones is gonna be blinging. Like, there he is.
Him and Mace.
But yeah, I remember the gi days. But do you remember? I remember when I but when I made the switch to no gi, I believe was at Dynamics. When like Alex Marchi, Chris De La Madrid, everybody started rocking leg locks, and I was just like, I got tired of this.
Dan Hurt Death Squad around
exactly,
that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna to keep it 100.
They kind of made that happen. They pushed it into the mainstream. That it was just big and the thing to do.
Got my brown belt there from Gustavo, and I
No,
just
you
I
didn't.
stopped.
You didn't. You got it here. Oh.
No, I got my brown belt at Dynamics.
At Dynamics?
Yeah. I know.
Why did
I know where I got my brown belt.
No, I know, but I thought you got it. You got it because I remember when you got it. I just
No, I
don't
got
remember.
it. I got it at Dynamics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the day that Alex got his black belt, I got.
Shout out Alex Marchi.
I got
That kid is so good.
Yeah, I just texted him recently.
Really?
Yeah, I was talking to him.
He's a
I told him
cop?
he just competed at Naga, and he some guys at the Coop was talking about him, but he's gonna come up here and train. I told him wait till I'm
Really?
better so he could beat me up.
I'd
But
love to see him.
Said he'd make a trip. But yeah,
Where is he?
he's at 10th Planet, Orange County down there. I don't know which one it's
Oh,
called.
Orange County. Remember we saw him in Fullerton when we went to
Yeah.
compete? Yeah.
But anyway, I was saying that's when I gave up the
gi.
gi because around that time
That was a long time
were
ago.
Was you there when Danaher would come to Dynamics and do the seminars?
I've seen pictures.
So-
I had left, but it was just after I'd left.
I jumped.
I think
on
I've seen you on like a video or something.
I jumped on the whole Death Squad bandwagon. I was like, hell
It was
yeah.
hard kinda not
Hell
to.
Yeah. And then Alex, man, he would come and just fuck everybody up with leg locks. And
Didn't
I
he
was
do
like, what
privates
is
with Danaher?
this?
Alex? He did, no?
Maybe. I'm not.
I thought he did. At least one.
Gotta
He was
ask
so
him.
good.
But I remember like you just roll with him and it would just be like easy. I'm like, God damn.
Dude.
How do you do that? And then he was starting to show it there, and then I was honestly over the gi because of the smell. I just hated it was just me. I was like, man, I'm just getting rash burns from getting ripped in the face, and I'm tired of washing. And then they got stolen a couple of times out of my car, which is weird. But
Really? I always thought that was an anecdote. I always thought that was a lie.
No.
Dang.
Like,
Straight up got stuck. Like someone broke in my car because I would keep like shoes and flip flops and shirts and so just take all my shit out.
Yeah,
you know?
I got my equipment
And I
in
was
the
like,
back of the
fucking
car.
A. I'm like, who wants a dirty? I would just never think that's something someone would take as a dirty ass gi. Not once, but twice. But
Yeah, did you have a nice one? One of them show you roll
probably,
joints and
I used
expensive
to,
ones?
Man, I used to buy them all.
cool guy
I
ones?
probably had like 10, 12 of them. Probably more of them things. You just buy them, you know what I mean? And one's thinner, and then I shrink that motherfucker, and then get another one, and I shrink, and then this one is heavy as fuck. In the summer, you're like, this shit is. I done
just
sweated in this
seasonal.
motherfucker. This shit is 400 pounds now.
It's so tough. Like when I put a gi on now,
And I just like.
because I haven't put a gi on in so long before, so it's always like I'm always fresh, and I'm just like,
You come and
get
train
used-
in the game on Mondays?
when I can.
Yeah.
I'll get it like once a month. I'll put my gi on, and I hate it. I wish I put it on more, but I do.
I
it
thought
is-
you meant you hate putting
Let
the
me
gi
see.
on.
I'll show you
No,
guys
I
something.
miss it. I miss the gi.
I haven't trained in the gi. I've put on the gi, but I haven't trained in the gi since I think January.
Wow.
And right now it's September. Maybe even the end of last year.
I enjoy even watching it. Like I love those kids, like the Rutolos, the Mika Galvals, the kids that are like the best in no gi and the best in gi.
It's the day I got it.
Oh,
Dynamics.
That's your proof right there that it was in dynamics.
And I had a fucking a gi on. Yeah, that's Chris in the background there.
Chris de la Madrid,
Remember Dr.
Dr. Kickass.
Kickass.
Kickass? He just got his black
Oh,
belt.
you got his black belt
Yeah.
too?
That day, and that's Alex on the far
I
left.
see him on
there.
Instagram every once in a while.
So is Dr.
And that's me
Kickass,
leading.
he's not Gustavo's black belt then.
Henry gave it to him.
Henry gave it to him because I remember Gustavo telling me it wasn't his black belt,
No,
but
Henry,
I remember Martin was his first black belt, so
Yep.
I figured it can,
Gustavo gave him my black belt first, but he had me show up so Henry could give it to me too.
black belt, the brown.
No, my purple belt.
purple.
You were there at my purple belt.
Yeah.
We remember it was like you rolled with everybody. It was like an hour-long roll. You were my first roll. It was like everyone you rolled with. It was like a 10-minute. I think we rolled for like 50 minutes before they gave the belts out, and you were my first one. And it was a long day. I remember afterwards I was just like standing.
do you
there
remember
going, oh my gosh.
what was it? Savage Sundays over there that Chris used to throw. That was so
I
fun.
do remember that. And there was
Yeah,
Punk
this-
Rock Fridays.
Punk Rock Fridays. Oh man.
I had some good times over there.
Yeah, no, definitely. But yeah, I remember that's when the Death Squad, and then like Gordon was doing seminars there, like they were just blowing up.
Gordon did seminars in dynamics?
Yeah, a couple times. And his brother, Ryan, and I was just like, I'm sold. And then everyone was clowning. It was like that moment where everyone was kind of clowning the gi, and it was just kind of like this. It was that new revolution, and I was like, I felt validated that I didn't have to wear it no more. Like, oh, you can still continue jiu-jitsu without a, you know. But then sometimes I just have like, I haven't put one on in so long. But yeah, sometimes I feel like shit. I'm probably a white belt in gi.
It's so different.
It's like the strength pulling is different.
Oh, it's different. I still love it though.
Man, those are the good old days.
I just wish I could get into it more. Get into it the gi more. My schedule's crazy.
I just lost interest. It's weird. Like I don't know. Maybe I should just try it when my arm's better.
It's almost like a different sport.
You can always jump on the group message, and if you're coming in my class in the morning, you can always jump in the group message and tell there. I know there's people that like to put on the gi on Fridays, because Fridays Gustavo's class, for example, used to be gi class, Q&A.
Right.
Now, ever since the pandemic, something happened during the pandemic in Gustavo's mind, and he said, it's mixed gi or no gi, whatever you want.
I would come in with my gi on sometimes, and then people.
I don't know why.
It was like mixed, and I would take the blouse off if I went against somebody.
Yeah. But now I know certain people bring their gi, and they talk to others, on the phone. Hey, you're gonna bring your gi tomorrow. So
it's like a freaking underground
I see
thing.
that, especially after promotions when they get their belts.
Yeah.
I swear, everybody comes in. Everybody who got their belt comes in on a Friday. The first Friday after that,
they test that motherfucker one time.
Yeah, and that's and you don't see them in the gi anymore after that.
I'm out of here.
You don't see them in the gi.
You saw me defending this belt.
I think it's like I'm gonna wear this belt.
Yeah.
I haven't rolled in mine yet.
I rolled in mine.
You got me on the keychain thing. I updated mine, but you gave me
Oh, you updated yours?
You gave me the brown one.
I did.
I love that thing.
You updated yours now?
I had to.
Oh, nice.
That's what's up. That's cool.
But I love that. I saw yours and I was like, hell
yeah. But I left the purple there too. I left the purple there too.
Oh, okay. You're not sure yet?
You have the purple and the brown?
Yeah, both of them are.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. No, I left it there.
Brown.
I left it there as a brown. I left it there as like it's a journey, right?
Oh, here we go.
You know what I mean?
Some bullshit.
I love it.
Back then,
I love it.
He was just a little. He studied under Bruce Lee, and now
when I get my first degree black belt, I'm gonna start adding stripes to the black belt that I'm gonna have.
You know what words I just.
That's funny.
All right, so part of the jiu-jitsu starter kit is when we begin. You say os. I should say like os. I don't know the most.
It's not os.
Os.
It's not os. It's not OSE. It's OSS. It's like
it's appropriating whatever. It
is.
Os.
Cultural appropriation.
It's appropriating.
And then one of the next words you learn is journey. I'm on this journey. It's,
back in the old days, everyone would do this thing. No one does it anymore. This is before the slap bump days, but like the Brazilian cool thing to do that we appropriated was. Do you remember that?
I didn't get into that, but
this is in the 90s.
I didn't even know that.
I
didn't start in the 90s.
What about this?
Yeah, that's definitely mine. That's the starter kit.
And the next thing you learn is that everyone is a doctor on the mats. Everyone knows. If you feel pain somewhere and there's 20 people on the mats, somebody will know something about
Absolutely.
If you take everyone's knowledge together, you can complete one doctor most likely. At least a registered nurse. Oh, speaking of which, you probably out of the 20 people have at least 5 registered nurses. I cannot tell you how many nurses I've trained with.
Yeah.
Male, female.
Consider yourself lucky.
Well,
yeah.
Couple doctors.
Couple of doctors.
Sure.
Yes.
A lawyer, a little weird lawyer.
MYK.
We like him.
And
MYK.
How many programmers? How many IT guys? We were talking.
Between
with
you and Ryan, we got like sound people.
Yeah, there's
sound people.
Sound people.
Ryan who? Ryan who?
I know you're talking about
Ryan, right?
No, Nick.
Nick.
Sorry.
is the sound.
Yeah. Nick is top of his game.
He
Yeah,
is?
I love. That's one thing I love about this community is like. Back to your journey talk. There's definitely like every walk of life. And I like that. That like
People from the streets.
That's one thing that we can actually all just say like, and different. I'm gonna say a spectrum of people. You know,
All different types.
all types. Like
There are millionaires on the mats. Like
Yeah.
people that, you know, I remember fucking,
I'm
I
gonna
don't
roll
know.
alone out of one of them. Hey, let me borrow some. No, yeah, I love that. I mean, look at us. Like, you just meet different walks of life, different people that are teaching, that are, you know, blue collar workers, white collar workers, just, and at the end of the day, like, nothing matter. No one cares about your status at that point. They just care about if they can tap you or roll with you or not or whatever, or learn something
Yeah.
from you or
What's important is what's
deflate.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what really, you know, especially like how long we've all been doing it, like that's what keeps us coming back too. It's not just like, at some point your ego you transcend that ego shit.
100%.
Like I mean, really like tapping everyone. You know, I know that's that Gordon Ryan mentality. Like I can, you know, I'm so methodical. I know every single move and calculated thing in jiu-jitsu. Then you have people that are just like, why you show up? Like, what's your reason to show up? It's like, maybe you're not here to tap everyone. Maybe you're here to teach and learn from people, and that's your conduit to the whole. Still wanting to tap people, I'm sure, but that's not like your main reason why you walk through that door.
Right.
I think you come through that door one way and you leave that motherfucker eventually like, nah, actually,
Different.
I can't. You know, I'm getting beat up by fucking nerds, so there has to be a different motivation of why I'm
Right.
coming here. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think once you find that, that's the difference between like who continues. Because I'm sure we've seen a gang of people like didn't come back, but then I always like mentally give props to the people. I'm like, damn, you've been here for a minute. Like you're still coming. It's not easy. Like,
It's
to
not
work to,
easy.
You know, to just show up.
It's
So,
funny when you see purple belts, brown belts, not even talking about black belts here, but when you see those guys and you're like, you just have to stop for a second and think that this guy's stuck with it, you know, for X amount of years, and you know that you can do it for like 3 or 4 years and still quit. You know, it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, and most of the time it doesn't have anything to do with injury, regardless of what people tell you.
yeah. You think it's a mentality thing sometimes? Like a lot of the early on quitters?
Well,
Or
life starts happening too.
Well, it depends how early on. You know, the guy that comes in, gets beat up by a girl and leaves and never shows up.
That's different.
That's mentality.
That's different.
That's definitely a mentality. But if you train for like 3 or 4 years and then you give it up, from my experience, usually it's people that move away. They go to another city, and we don't even realize this because we don't really. None of us. I mean, you live elsewhere too, but
Right.
we've been here all throughout our jiu-jitsu journey. We've been here, right? So we live in the mecca of jiu-jitsu, really, in the world right now, and we have gyms left and right. And if you don't want to train here, like you go to 2 different gyms, you sometimes go to
Block away. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so-
it's
It
crazy.
wasn't always like that, though.
And we're talking about, and you live between the 2 of them, right in the middle, right? Now, if you go, you can also go to Dynamics. You can also go a little bit, you know, drive 10 minutes this way,
really is
and you're
everywhere.
always gonna find a gym to train. I talk to people. I talk to John. Remember John Lopez, the
nurse?
Yes,
the nurse.
the nurse. He went
I was
he went
thinking
back
about
to the
him.
Bay
I love
Area.
him. I heard about that.
yeah.
And he tells me, man, I can't find a place to train. He got a place that was convenient for him, you know, because you work hours and then you live somewhere. Then usually, and there's no, you got to drive half an hour, 40 minutes to the gym, and I mean half an hour without the traffic, you know.
Yeah.
So
There's
it's
not a
like,
bunch of
so he
places in
finds
San
a place.
Francisco?
No, but
I
he's
would
not in
think-
San
I would
Francisco.
think it would be
he's
like-
not in San
Oh,
Francisco. Yeah.
is he like
he's in
on
the Bay
that-
Area, but he's outside. He's like
I got
closer.
you.
I don't know. He told me
Okay.
where, but I forgot. And the thing is, he's in the far suburbs. So if you look at it this way, now not only that, but he found the gym, but they're only doing gi. He's not a gi guy. He doesn't like it. You know, they don't do leg locks at all. That's not his thing. He likes that. He likes what he likes.
Yeah.
And then he's like,
That's tough.
Now
Here we got
you don't have
flavors.
much. Yeah, you
We
don't
got
have the
flavor.
choices. You
You
know.
could go to a school that's just like I'm just like a avid jiu-jitsu like tourist, or I want to be a super competitor in the ADCC,
and
or I want to be a killer.
pick any of those. You can go down south a little bit further to Costa Mesa and be the biggest competitor there is. You know. But
that's
here,
just unfortunate.
That's what I'm saying. So from my experience, this is the blue belts that quit after 3 or 4 years, or even maybe purple belts. I don't know. That's my experience. That's what it happens is due to.
But I will also say this, and there was a time, and I remember I talked to Gustavo about it. Like, there was a time where I was kind of done with jiu-jitsu for a minute, and I think it was more for like personal reasons. Like, it was more like mental shit that I had to work out, and I just wasn't motivated, and I didn't. The honeymoon phase was over. You remember, like that point where it was like it was all jiu-jitsu, and I just want to go, like, fast forward X amount of time, and I'm just like, why am I like hurting? And I couldn't find a reason, and I took off like, it wasn't that I took off time. I would just show, but I wasn't showing up.
Did we know each other at the time?
Yeah. This was like brown belt. I just like, man.
Before you started going to the coup?
Oh, this was way before.
How long were you a brown belt? For a minute, right?
I think I got my brown belt.
He had his own journey as a brown belt.
I was trying to remember that date when I got it. Like,
don't you have the picture? The picture should have a date.
It's not time stamped, but I think it was like 2017, 18, one of those, something like that.
Well,
but I remember like I got it, and and honestly I didn't even think I was getting it. I showed up in jeans.
That happened to me.
And all of a sudden, Henry Eggins is like, put on the gi. And I'm like, I'm just here to support. And he was just like real adamant about it. And I was like, all right, like respect. I thought it was like respectfully do it, you know? And I was like, oh shit. But I wasn't mentally, like I was already mentally checked out of jiu-jitsu by that time. So when I got it, I was like, damn. It was exciting for like a minute. But when I went home, I was just like, I didn't have that like, I made it, because I don't look at jiu-jitsu as like, I got over the stripe, winning the stripes. That was a while ago. So now it's like I don't care about accolades because A, I don't compete. B, it's like over time you're gonna get that anyway, right? You show up for 20 years, you're gonna get a black belt.
Yeah.
Right? I don't care if you.
That's where the subjectiveness of the belt system comes in. Where we're talking about it. Who?
Gustavo.
We were talking about it with someone else after that, but yeah.
And I understand it's a spectrum, right? Like a 47-year-old black belt is definitely not compared to a 20-year-old ADCC black belt. That's just two different worlds, right?
Depending upon right.
So
how you're gauging it.
I gauge it, and that's what I mean. Like everyone has to find how they gauge it for themselves. Right?
Yeah.
I can't accept nothing until I'm ready to accept it. Like you could give me something, but I'm just like, if I feel like and it's not even an imposter thing. Like if I feel like I haven't put it in the work, or I need to learn a lot more to accept this, then I'm not in a rush to get an accolade. That means nothing. You know what I mean? A participation award. Everyone's like, get your belt, get your belt. I'm like, I don't feel like I deserve this belt. Like I have a lot to learn. After Danaher came out, the information center of just knowledge, that became a whole nother thing. Right. That information then you realize like, oh shit, there's a lot you don't know. And there's a lot that you need to learn. And I know you can't learn it all in 5 minutes, but once you got to get to a space where you feel comfortable. It's your journey. So that whole subjectiveness, yes, it's there, but I think until you're ready to own it. And for me, it was having to step out and be like, all right, I need to go out and like roll with black belts to even see like if I am a black, like what is this whole black belt thing about? Because if your only experience with a black belt is one black belt here and there, you really don't have nothing to gauge it against.
Right.
You know what I mean? And for me, and I'm not saying like, well, you're a black belt if you could beat every black belt. That's not what it is. It's just feeling comfortable in that environment, right? Just be like, okay, I feel comfortable here. And I took off a minute mentally. When I say I took off mentally. I just was showing up and not giving a fuck, not putting in the effort.
Well, what brought you back, so to speak?
I think jiu-jitsu has always been like that checkpoint for me. Like I have a personality where it's like I can go all in on like partying and like dip out. You know what I mean? Like like if I commit to something, I can commit to something. But I think sorry about that. But jiu-jitsu always it keeps you in check. It was that thing that kept me in check. Like if I didn't have jiu-jitsu, I'd probably be 300-pound cokehead.
Saved your life. That's the other thing.
It was a journey. But I'm just saying, it just keeps you. It keeps me. There. You know, like I can't go too far out without like even like seeing you guys and thinking like, man, I'm too far out. Like, you know what I mean? Like I got to get back at least like calibrated with like my peers in my community.
Right.
Because I can just as easy as it is to roll hard or roll for 30 minutes. I could put that same energy into another activity, whether it's negative or positive.
Yeah.
Right.
So I at least like, let me dump that energy into this. So that's why I kind of keep giving. That's what it does for me outside of a stripe, right? You can give me 17 black belts. It's not going to mean nothing unless it's actually like impacted my life.
Right.
And the moment that it impacted my life, I remember I came back, I was like, all right, dude, I'm feeling like shit in the outer world. I'm not who I want to be. I'm not feeling grounded. And coming here, it's like the only time where I don't think about the outer world and I can feel grounded and I'm not thinking about all that external shit. So that's what kind of brought me back in. And I was like, all right, I'm starting to remember why I love this outside of, I got a stripe. I'm trying to tap him. It's like, you know, I was joking about the journey, but that's some real shit because it's like you got to figure out what is your North Star? What drives you every day? Like, and that's just like in life too, right? Like there's external shit. To me, there's the world, and then there's this place where it's like, it's literally like peaceful, even though it's like chaotic. But there's like, I've never found more peace in this chaos than I do. You know, end of the day, you ain't feeling good. You come here, you feel a lot better, even if you didn't want to show up.
100%.
You're like, fuck, I didn't even want to, but I'm glad. How many times have you ever said, I'm glad I came?
Every single time.
Yeah.
But sometimes I got to talk myself into it. You know what I mean? Like, shit, I'm here. And it's kind of similar, I'm going to do the covert stairs because I know it sucks, but I'm always glad when I make it to the top. It's like the same feeling. You know what I mean? It's like you just finish something, accomplish something. Like, I never got like a bachelor's or master's like that. So my commitment level was always like, to me, it was like, I want to commit and finish something. And it let me know that I have the power to commit and finish something if I want to.
100%.
So that was like really important.
Amen.
And you're not even finished with it.
No, that's what I'm saying.
That's the
it's
interesting part because it takes you like 10, 15 years to get a black belt. So
And that's kind of like the beginning.
And that's
no. I've accepted that. That's what I mean. Like I've accepted that. I got this demarcation point, right? It could be arbitrary to however it means to you. But what it means to me is none of that means something. It means I'm never going to stop. I'm going to show up. I'm going to not show up, but I'm always going to come back. When I'm 70, I hope to see you guys on the mat. We're just going to be like, oh, shit, you old motherfucker.
We're all going to be living 200. So.
You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is like, I think the people that quit, back to that point was, maybe it was too early for them to find out like what they can get out of this, or they never saw anything they needed from it.
Probably it was a matter of, you know.
Some people don't like. Maybe someone didn't need it, you know. And when we see all walks of life, like there has to be a reason that we all have this common theme of, I'm gonna keep coming back and keep fucking, whether I'm injured or not, and I'm gonna push myself and I'm gonna just keep trying, and it has to be beyond ego at a point, right? Ego takes you so far. Right? Where you're like, oh, this guy tapped me. I'm going to be back tomorrow.
I think you're right. There has to be a goal that you have set for yourself.
Because no one
as to why you're doing it. Because,
none of us.
I never even thought about this shit.
We're not competitors, so that goal is not there, obviously.
So, all right, so check that off, right?
Yeah, right off the bat. So what is it then? So for you, it might be one thing. For you, it may be another. For me, for example, is teaching. I like that. Like, for me, it's, you know.
I can see that. I can totally see that.
For me, if I have a good class to me is when people are receptive, you know. Like we were talking earlier, you know, if I'm teaching something and I see that most of the people are struggling with it, I start feeling like I look weird. I'm like,
you got to solve this a little bit.
I didn't do a good job there. Not that I didn't do a good job teaching it, but I didn't do a good job picking what I would teach specifically, right? So, but it's a detail of the teaching, you know.
Right.
So for me, that's the thing. But when I see that the whole class is like doing great, receptive, they enjoy there was something I taught last week. I think it was a shin to shin, shin to shin to a wrestle up, and yep. And I know you like shin to shin, but
Pause.
but when and I kid you not, like the whole class, every pair were hitting it in drilling. You know, there was no, I didn't have to explain, oh, no, it's not working because of this or that. Actually, it was working with everybody. And the next day, that was a Monday morning, right? Because it was the wrestling class, but I did a shin to wrestle up. So we did wrestling from there. So the next day on Tuesday morning, I come in here and I see two guys, because I was warming up, two guys hitting the fucking technique.
That's cool.
And they never done it before. I know that because they told me. So I'm like, that's you know, that to me is like, you know,
gratifying.
Yeah, I think everyone
that energizes me.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's what I think every one of us, whether we know it yet or not, that's what's happening if you stay in it. You're figuring out like what's your North Star, what's your reason, your motivation, whether it's like teaching and the motivation behind that, like why is teaching important to you, and this is a great space for you to exercise it, and it's a good community, and you got Pete and Gustavo and a good amount of, and all of that plays a part of it. You need good people because no one's gonna stay at a gym that fucking sucks,
right?
And we all find that. For me, like straight up, it's mental health, 150%, and I'm able to. It's not like this linear path with it. I come in when I feel like shit, and I come in when I feel great. So it's like I can have both, you know. And I think that's what it is for me. Like you always feel better. I've never had a day where I came here and it felt worse leaving, unless like I hurt myself, of course.
Well, let me ask you this, and then maybe we can ask Ian afterwards. But just to backtrack here, like for me, for example, I know for a fact that not everyone enjoys teaching. In fact, I know that.
Not everyone can.
Probably. Well,
I have no patience.
Whether you can or not, you're gonna find out. Whether you can or not, you have to find out.
Okay.
In the process of doing it, but in order to start doing it, you have to really kind of enjoy it. Otherwise, you wouldn't even attempt it, right?
Right.
You could be doing jiu-jitsu all your life and still suck as a teacher. You know, doesn't mean anything, really. So, and that's because you don't like doing it for the most part, not because you're not talented or something. But if you don't like doing it, you're not gonna make the effort. You're not gonna put in the effort to actually. You're not gonna have the passion to teach someone something, right? So for me, I know that this is the case. But when you say mental health, do you believe that this would help? You say it helps you, but does that mean that it would help everyone who needs mental health help?
I can't speak for everyone, but I would say that I don't see how it could hurt, because whenever you you go to therapy, anything, it's like mental health is part physical. It's not just, when people think mental health, they just think your brain is fine and it's doing backflips and shit. Part of the tools that they give you in like therapy or working shit out is exercise, right? When you have anxiety, you breathe, you calm yourself. You have to move your body. It's both. So I would say that I don't see how it can't help anyone, but I can't speak for everyone. I can only speak from my experience that it helped me a fucking ton, along with some like cognitive therapy. But like sometimes this is the only session I needed. And as weird as it sounds, it's like not even winning, just sometimes getting fucked up. You know what I mean? Just like, 100%. Oh, this is, you know, because you can't think of nothing else.
If for example, in your case, if you have a session where you got fucked up by everyone, so that doesn't mess up your mentally?
It did when I was in my ego phase.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
in my ego phase, it fucked me up. Like I'd be like, fuck that. Or depending on like, okay, so we're human, so sometimes you just have a bad day and someone, it depends on like how I used to handle things. Someone is going hard and they do some weird shit to you and it was more intentional, and that was more my response. But what I'm saying is like if you're working on yourself in certain areas, you're gonna show up a different way in that space. But back in my ego, fucked up times where I come in, sometimes it was like, okay, we doing this. And it wasn't about jiu-jitsu. It was an ego thing.
Right.
That's different, right? Yeah. Where you can, you know, I call it like the Gustavo. You just show up the same person, just calm.
Yeah.
Right? Never. No one. I'll bet everyone right now, all the money in their pocket. Have you ever seen Gustavo blow up at somebody?
No.
Never. Not one fucking time. I've done it like 78 times. At least 78 to 113
As a purple belt. As a purple belt alone.
But that's what I mean. Like,
I never thought about that.
Jiu-jitsu exposed to me the things that I have to work on.
True.
I've had anger issues. I blew up on someone because they poked me in the neck and I thought it was intentional, and or I'm just getting my ass beat and I gotta win and I'm still getting my ass beat. And I think once you get over that hump and you can fucking just come here and enjoy yourself and be like, it don't matter. You know, obviously do your thing and learn and not try to just whatever, but if it does happen, not walk out of here feeling like, you know, like your ego days, you fall out like, oh man, how did I get tapped? You know, and maybe some people go on all, I'm gonna come back and whoop his ass and da-da-da. But if you get to a point where you actually like enjoy it and that doesn't bother you and you understand that there's always gonna be someone whooping your ass or you gonna win some too, and the ratio, who fucking knows? But like to me, and that's my thing. It's like, cause that's how I show up in the outside of here, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I don't want to show up like that in the real world where, you know, your boss or someone is coming at you and you feel challenged and you're showing up all spazzy. You know, you want to show up calm, just like under the most fucking pressured situations. You want to just be like, all right.
Show up like Gustavo.
Like Gustavo. I'm gonna get a shirt that say, be like, do what Gustavo would do.
Do the Gustavo.
Right?
You know,
I've never seen anyone. I've never, not once since 2010. I don't even think I've ever seen him angry.
Me either.
Not like
now
pissed.
that I'm thinking.
I think I might have saw him in deep thought once. There's a rumor that he was in deep thought. But
There's a rumor. I heard Professor was thinking deeply. Was he pissed? Nah.
And I'm not naming names, but I've seen professors and teachers do some like, yo, that was weird.
Yeah.
Like,
they got egos, man.
You know what I mean? I'm like, and I've seen professors try to tap their students like and fuck them up, and it's just like egos at a high level is what I'm saying. I don't want to be an ego at a. Because I've seen black belts be like, I don't think a black belt should be acting like that. You know, when you're young, you're like, okay, that was.
Right.
It's because I'm saying you can get these belts, you can get these accolades, but it doesn't mean that like you resolve the things. I think this shit exposes what you're supposed to resolve in yourself, inside and outside of this motherfucker. Because you can tell.
That's very insightful.
Because we can all roll with someone and just feel like, I ain't fucking like, I shouldn't be rolling with that dude. You know what I mean? Or that person. You can like feel their energy.
Yeah.
Feeling like someone, and you know. And then if you get injured, you be like, I knew it. I shouldn't have rolled with that motherfucker. Now my fucking ankle is hurting. And yeah, so back to the joke of journey, it is. Everyone, this is a great journey to find out who you are, to test who you are, and to fix who the fuck you are if you need help. Because it exposes you. You can't, if we was rolling right now, right, and you guillotine me and I got fucking mad, I just exposed that I can't control my anger. Right. If I go with someone and it's me and you rolling and you mount me and armbar me, it's like you legitimately did that. That's a sequence that happened that was no control. You know, I didn't pay you to do that. It was even. It exposes like your weaknesses in everything you do, not just like in your game. That's one weakness. I'm talking about like other weaknesses. You know?
Or how you receive it.
Or do you show up and say, "Hey, let me get a private with my man Lou and work on that mount that this motherfucker just got on me and try to, you know what I mean? Like instead of like
that should be the reaction. Oh shit, I'm not good at this. Right. How do I fix this? As opposed to, oh man, this motherfucker did this. I'm gonna body slam him tomorrow. Today was shitty because this happened. Oh man, I feel bad because no, it's like okay, to deal with it.
You deal with it. Just like in life, if something happens, you try to deal with it, and no one's perfect at it. But I think that's You know, so I do respect teachers because I feel like they already kind of understand that, like at least most of them should, that they should be more calm and relaxed for the students that are struggling and frustrated or angry. Because if I'm angry and my professor angry, I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? I'm leaving.
I'm mad, you're mad.
You know, one of us got to be calm, and I expect it to be you. Like,
you're getting paid.
You showed me this shit, and he just beat my ass with it.
You know, a couple of weeks ago in class, I'm rolling. Not in my class, but I was rolling, and I got guillotined, I think, 3 times on the same day. And there were different guillotines from different positions, right? Well, one was
on a guillotine tour.
One was a Peruvian necktie, but it started off as I've never been Peruvian necktie before successfully, right?
I tried the Peruvian necktie.
Yeah. But I never.
I was like, damn.
I've defended them, not that, right? So because the setup for the Peruvian necktie is a little slow process, you can see it coming and all that stuff. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work. Of course, I found out, but the thing is that it started as a guillotine attempt too. And that's why the Peruvian necktie worked, because it started as a guillotine attempt. So started as a guillotine to something. Anyway, so it was a very nice setup. But I got guillotined 3 times that day by different people. And one of them was a Peruvian. And I'm like, you got me into thinking, you know, nobody likes to get tapped, of course. But the thing is, it got me into thinking, what was I doing all day that I get fucking guillotined, you know?
Right.
What was I doing? Yeah. That's the treasure, figuring that out and now being able to stop
so
it.
I started, like, I got this thing where I can pretty much remember all the fucking, the thing in the rolls, right? So I was backtracking, like, everything, like, what was I doing?
You could remember all the stuff afterwards?
Yeah, pretty much, you know.
You were spiraling out. You were like, what the fuck happened?
No, like, I was like,
obsessed.
what did I do? You know, that, kudos to them, because they did what they were supposed to do, and they did it well, especially the Peruvian necktie. It only worked because it was set up nicely, obviously, right? So I'm like, that's good, but I must have done something wrong. And I figure what I've done wrong. I stuck my neck out a little bit too much, right? I mean, that's the obvious, you know, reason. But why did I keep sticking my neck out? So I kind of started correcting those things, and then, you know. So my point is, the ego works in different ways. You can explode. You can be like, fuck. You can go home and start like throwing shit around. So instead of throwing it here, you know. Right. Or you can take something out of it, you know.
Use it constructively.
No.
But your ego will talk to you either way, you know.
Yeah, nah, that's real.
And
death to the ego.
Yeah. What about you? What is it that?
It's 100%. It's very similar to Sean. It's a lot of the mental health, because I've got my thing with jiu-jitsu. I started a long time ago. I've got a bunch of broken time. And times where adulting and just me kind of tripping over my own weaknesses have gotten away from jiu-jitsu, and then I find myself coming back, and that's become like a habit. I find myself now in the process. I've been back for a while, and that's a good thing. But I've said a bunch of times to friends, I'm like, when I'm doing jiu-jitsu, most things in my life are going okay. When I'm not doing jiu-jitsu,
you told me that
things are rough.
Last week or something.
Things are rough. Yeah. I remember one time, and it's like, God bless jiu-jitsu and Gustavo. One of those times when I was outside of jiu-jitsu, and I call it my bad year. It was just a rough time. I remember it was a particularly rough night. I hadn't been here in a long time. Gustavo texted me, and he was like, the text was, "Did you die?"
Oh, fairness.
And I remember when I saw that, I wanted to break out in tears.
Oh, man.
I just felt so loved, number one.
Of course.
And at the same time, I was embarrassed because I was like, oh, shit, I'm doing this thing again. But I was just like, out of nowhere, Gustavo sent me this.
This person cares about you.
I'm like, somebody. And I mean, I knew people, like my parents, I've got a great relationship with them. But I was in this spot. When you get like kind of depressed, you isolate, and
absolutely,
I was hiding at my house. I hadn't been outside, and then I just get this signal from Gustavo.
It's his fucking sign.
Did you die? And I knew exactly what he was saying. And I remember I sent him a text back really quick just to let him know. I don't even remember what I said, but I was just like, I'm not dead. And thank God. Thank you for sending this out to me. I'll be looking for you soon.
That's amazing, man. Especially coming from someone like that who's been like, you know, there on the mats with you.
Yeah.
I can almost imagine how you felt. You
Dude.
know what I mean? Like, damn, hell yeah.
It was special. And it's
I would have
always funny to me
screenshot that
because
shit and saved it.
how he says
Can you
it.
imagine though if he had died though? You just
Well, he would have known. At least he would have known.
It's like
Because what he was saying
I
to
don't
me.
want to think about it, but
like,
that's funny.
delivered. He stayed on delivered.
Yeah, that was special.
Damn.
Yeah, Gustavo was all right.
knows
but-
answers.
Also, too, like, you know, you teach. I love that. I think one contribution that I have that I enjoy, because I never enjoy teaching. I feel like I just don't put in enough effort to be able to translate it. Like, I could probably do more things that I learned and show someone. But I like, you know, shout out to Pete. Pete, if you're watching this, if you're one of the thousands of people watching this.
In the future.
Shout out to you.
Shout out to Pete.
You know, he created a space for us to like kind of, you know, express ourselves in different ways. And he allowed me to throw competitions like the Rollathon and Quintet and just these fun things where I'm able to interact with the community.
Let's talk about those as well.
Yeah,
That's
to me, it was like, you know, I felt like I love the community and I wanted to contribute by bringing more people involved and being that, like, you know, I go to Verdooms or other spaces. I think that's the beauty of it too, right? We can get confined into one space, but the community extends past these walls. The reason why everyone's tuned and glued into CJI and ADCC and cross-training, and we've met cool people along the way, these journeys. And, you know, I believe, did you bring Sean Williams here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, you know, we've had superstars of our sports come here and teach, and I love that aspect of it. There's something about going to another gym, not with an ego, to learn, to meet people. And it's not always going to be a beautiful journey with everyone, but for the most part, I meet more cool people than I do weird people. Because it's no secret that jiu-jitsu opens the door to the crazies and the not crazies. And, you know, I always say this is a meeting ground for every personality. There's no, you know, you sift through them. So I always like that. And things like Quintet, I thought, you know, these are great ideas that spawned from, shout out to Seamus over at the Coop. He came up with that idea, but like having Rollathon, just these fun moments for us to just, I'll just say have community together, jiu-jitsu community
like
together.
Fellowship.
You know what I mean? Fellowship. That's what it is. It's almost like church. Like, you know, it wasn't about, I never won one Rollathon. You know, that was never the goal. The goal was just to have everyone together. You've helped out. You've reffed, and the guys from Verdooms that come by. They're great, practitioners, and they're cool guys. And it was just like a fun community.
Those are fun, yeah. Those are,
you know, and I want to keep those going and maybe refine them and make sure people are safer and things like that, because, you know, what started as like something just small and local kind of bubbled into something a little bigger, and, you know, I didn't like foresee all the puzzle pieces to that, but I just, you know, safety first, of course. You know, none of this is, you know, I'm fucking 20 weeks out from surgery. Like, I don't want anyone to get hurt. That's never the intention. So it's always refining. So that's always been my also like fun contribution, because I never did teach and I never did do these things. But what I can do, one superpower that I know I have, is to try to bring community together. You know, and it's not perfect. It's not a perfect science, but I think it's important that we all try these things out. It's like a new student comes and learns from you. You know, you're not going to reject that person. Mm-hmm. You're going to do your best to embrace them until proven otherwise that you should reject that motherfucker. But for the most part,
until they explode on you. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, but that's part of it. I mean, for the most part, I've met definitely more cool people, and I'm you know.
Oh, for sure.
I've definitely met some, you know,
Crazies.
some crazies, and I
many of
sometimes
those
wonder
quintets-
if I'm one of them motherfuckers.
How many have you done?
3. 3. This is the 3rd one coming up.
No,
Rollathon. There's a 3rd one coming up
Oh.
in October. It's going to be hosted at the Coop. They're hosting it. They've won them, so it's kind of like the idea is whichever gym wins, host it going forward. To take the onus, like Pete's been gracious, let us do it here. It's a beautiful space. It's a great space to do it.
You fill it up?
It gets pretty good. It gets pretty packed because you got to think in every corner is a school.
Yeah.
And, and
How
everybody's
many
there
teams
supporting.
is there?
4. With 5 people. And, Coop, they roll deep, so they come like 20 deep. We have our 15, and then everyone brings their girlfriend to watch them get choked out. Never bring your girlfriend.
Bring your girlfriend.
No. Hey, there's no more embarrassing than some dude shaking your legs like this. Your girl.
Or you're in bottom north south. you're getting father milk.
You better tap.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Just come solo. Nobody got to see what happens.
Space is limited.
Tell her space is limited, yeah.
But I love that about community. Like, example, the Coop is a great community because they embrace you doing, like, training how you want to train. Show up how you want to train. They really, if you want to throw rollathon there, they'll let you throw rollathon there. It's kind of the same vibe as Pete. Like, let's try something out, and if it works, it works. So this grew from Pete letting me build a foundation of it, and now it's like, okay, share the onus of the responsibility of a gym. So if you win, you throw it, right? And if you keep winning, you keep throwing that motherfucker. If it ever comes back here and Uprise win, they throw it how they want to throw it.
That's very cool.
Right? I think that's the best way to do it is share the responsibility. You know what I mean? Like. And I want to do another rollathon again. I miss rollathon.
I was about to ask you, what about the rollathon?
Yeah.
What was the last one? We've done a few, man. We've been doing it since 2017.
Yeah, that's when you could win a PlayStation or
a gi.
A gi. Yeah.
Yeah, you got a gi from somewhere, right?
Yeah, my boy. Shout out my boy. Kimono something. That ain't a dragon. Novocaine. Nova. Cocaine. It was a cocaine gig. But but that's what I mean. Like, so that's what I mean. When people come together, that shit is dope.
Yeah.
When you guys, sponsors or the homies helping out, or like, I'm all about coming together. Like, whatever we need to do, even like this podcast. Like, if we all want to come together and support each other, to me, that's the beauty of it. Knowing, like, whenever I had a rollathon, I was like, yeah, if I'm not working, I'm there. And it was beautiful. And when we collaborated, and he thought of shit that I didn't even think of, and what about this rule? And it was fun.
We changed the rules on every rollathon. Every one of them we changed the rule. But they do in professional sports too, like professional promotions, like Fight Pass Invitational. They change the fucking rules every single promotion.
I'm about to ask ChatGPT what's the rules going forward. I don't know what the fuck the rules is, but we should do it again and figure out. Like I said, it needs to be refined. Do we keep it just internal since we have a lot of new students?
Yeah.
Because that's how it started. It started just as a class here. Yeah. I didn't want to teach and know how to teach, but people was like, do a class. And I was like, we'll just roll. That was my class. I was like, roll, hurt yourself. Okay, get in line. And I was like, but it turned into this like fun thing. So I want to bring the fun element to it. And quintet to me is fun, You're going to have unfortunate times, but I think that with refinement, you can get past that. But, yeah, I can't wait to do that again. And I even did a couple of rollathons, I did my little 4 minutes. I remember you did 4 to 7 minutes. I got in there tough.
You did. You went to the lineup. You did a couple of rounds.
Hey, first of all, I made it to one of the finals one time.
You did?
It was me and black belt Alex. Not Marchie, but Alex.
Alex from was it Verdun?
It was. I think he was Meraki.
Oh, Meraki, was it?
Meraki. Yeah, he was from Verdun, but at this time he came in representing Meraki. But he pieced me up real quick. It was fun. Yeah.
I remember when you made the $300 reward. and it was all in singles.
I love that. I was
like a stack of singles like this.
Because I'm all about community. The next one was the strip club community. Take that money to another community.
Exactly. So what you're doing is it's how economy. It's a trickle down economy. Right?
Let's get into the taxes of this. But yeah, I love that. To me, I never regretted one investment of a penny. I appreciated Pete's generosity. Gustavo was at the last quintet coach, like helping out. It was so fun. The energy was, what was there was the energy.
Yeah.
If you showed up with egos or anything, that's on you. But you show up how you want, and you could tell like certain people showed up a certain one. It was beautiful, man. It's great synergy, and shout out to the Coop. Like they got a special thing going over there for themselves. Like they just basically made a huge.
Are they like a Studio 54 or Studio 540?
No, they're
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I'm saying, are they kind of like that? Where it's just a jiu-jitsu spot where you kind of have a membership and people just...
No, they have classes and stuff, but they also have that thing like you can go, right? You can go to the class, but you can also go after the class and just roll.
So
you can just go for the rolls and stuff.
The beauty of them is train how you want to train, right?
Yeah.
You've transcended instruction. You don't if you don't want to have like an instructor every day that you report to and line up, and you don't have to, but there's so much talent and so many black.
It's like a B team kind of.
Kind of. It's a lot of rolling, but it's structured for like the first 30 minutes. It's like either Q&A or someone teaching something, right? They have like certain instructors on certain days, like a Monday instructor, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They're about to have wrestling now. You do it for 30 minutes, and then it's rolling. And the beauty of it is it brings a bunch of different community in. And if you want to work on something, let's say if me and you were rolling, I pull you to the side, and we could just spend our whole 30 minutes going over something and asking questions, right? If I need that. Or this person just, fucking tapped you can be like, hey, how did you do that? Or you just keep rolling. And
it's literally like open mic, pretty much.
There's so many levels to it, which is great. So, it works for me. I still need, the learning structure. Like my plan is to still come and work with Gustavo and do things like that. And if I need like a private from this guy or Axel or someone like that, like I'm still all about fine tuning, But I love the open mat space in the community there. There's just some really cool guys and different practitioners. There's something about being used to the people that you roll with,
right,
and then rolling with someone you've never met. There's just something cool about that where you're just like, wow, that shit work? or that shit did not work. You're like, that did not work. That ankle pick did not work for me, bro.
The worst part with new people is like when you have a game and you can't even get off to a good start and your whole game falls apart. Because you just can't get off to a good
That's what happened. Like when I went over there, I was just like, it's getting dog barred. I don't know what the fuck they call it.
That's kind of good though.
Shit. I was like, oh my god.
It's kind of good. It's like you expose,
You got to get exposed. I needed to get exposed to get motivated to go to another level. Because it's easy to get complacent too sometimes where you're just like, do my thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because once again, I'm not paying bills from jiu-jitsu. It serves me for mental capacity. But at the same time, I need, progression sometimes to take exposure. Like, man, I mean exposure of just like bad habits.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, why am I on the mat falling back in a roll? Like,
I remember talking with you about that when...
Like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, it's just a laziness that you just develop from just being cool with your people.
Yeah.
And you're just like, let me just start on my back. Yeah. And it's like, and we're cool, right? And then you go over to another gym with that shit and somebody just surfing on your sternum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to remember, like, to retool, because there's a lot of information. Everyone has different games and different styles, but there's still just like a certain base that everyone needs to move with. And I was listening to you and Mike talk earlier about like different approaches and methodologies to teaching and learning and things like that. And I'm saying, like, it's not a one size fits all.
No.
But and now, I don't know if you guys agree, there's so much I go through my YouTube sometimes, I'm just like, damn. where the fuck? You know, every technique, there's 45 different people teaching that technique with a little different twist to it.
Yeah.
And then there's so many like advanced shit, you know, and then you go like, you watch like guys like Levi and that, and you're like, what the fuck? And then, and for me, I learned that I like to bask in the basics now. I'm like, I'm not doing one arm cartwheel to that shit, but I'm going back to just framing and movement and angles and like shit where it's like
ankle picks.
Like I was watching a video of a guy who was saying like, you get your black belt and you realize like you don't know shit, you're at the beginning, and then you go back and relearn all the shit you should have learned. And that kind of hit me like, yeah, you know, like hip as basic as hip escaping is, you know, I'll watch people roll and be like, motherfuckers ain't really hip escaping like that. You know, it's like everyone's so focused and fine pointed on all this like advanced, like trying to get to this like, which is super cool. Like it's great to see in practice, but you know, it's like watching a leg locker who can't stop you from passing their guard or something like that. And I know there's different levels to it, but yeah, like you got to, I had to get exposed to realize like, okay, and it's totally fine to know that you got shit to work on. No, come on, dude. You can get exposed, learn that shit, and then get exposed. Learn that shit and get exposed again.
The whole journey is almost like a constant exposure.
And one reason why I like new people, because certain people will bring out the great qualities in you that you know, and then some people will shut it down and bring out some of the like bad habits, and then some of the shit I'm just like, this motherfucker's just on another level. Like I don't even know what this is, but he's doing this thing, you know, and you know, shout out to that person. They could be training longer, less, athletic, younger, whatever the recipe they got. It's like, I think it's cool to do that once in a while. Safely, of course. Of course, kids, safely.
It's gotta last.
Yeah, because we want to do this shit forever.
Like Elio, putting a gi on in your 80s. I mean, that's the goal.
Yeah, I don't think people should be. It's not natural to get surgery, and you shouldn't be aiming for that shit. Shit happens, but safety definitely first. And I'm not gonna say that comes from rolling light or hard. Each his own. I'm saying take care of yourself, whatever that means to you. Like safety first in the rolling, and that could be preventative safety. That could be smart rolling. You know, I can't sit here and tell you to roll soft because like 80% of my career hasn't been doing that. I understand the importance of it, but I'm saying find your pacing in that shit. Cause
I think that on the topic of and maybe we can end it on that, or unless you want to say something.
Can my fans ask me questions live?
Sure. It's 12:20 past midnight.
Hold on, I'm getting the call now.
Your friends in Thailand.
Everybody's watching. My shit is blowing up.
On the topic of safety, I think that I find that the most injuries, with me at least, have occurred, and I think I can speak for many people, have been when it takes two to tango, right? So when one of us is dancing a little bit too slow.
That was deep. It takes two?
Yeah, two.
I love that.
When one of us is going a little too slow and the other one is in a rush, you know? One of us is going hard, the other one is, you know, trying to play, a little more relaxed. And then it just, so I'm not saying be spazzy, that's not what I'm talking about, but when you match the other person's tempo, I was going to say energy, but it's more like the tempo, really. When you match the other person, like these two earlier were fooling around.
That shit was wild.
Right, but this was like wrestling and stuff, but it was like kind of like scrambling,
right?
Scrimmaging, really, what they call it now. So it's basically they were each with the same tempo, working with the same tempo, right? If he tries to do that to me and I'm not expecting it, of course he's going to injure me, right? And when I say I'm expecting it, but I'm like kind of like too loose and too lackadaisical about it. And it's the same thing if you're like, let's say, playing guard, like you say, you fall on your back and you're playing guard, and you're like, I got this, and then the fucking guy just Toriandos and drops on you. That's when the injury is going to happen, right?
Absolutely.
If you expect it and you're a little bit more cognizant of it, and you have your frames in place, which comes back to, you know,
what he said.
Yeah, it comes back to basics, you know, fundamentals, but you want to be in the same kind of mentally. You want to be in the same role.
I hear you. I absolutely agree with that. I think you want to be in the same role. I'm not saying, like, I personally can't keep a high pace of just. Right, I got like one or two of those, and I'm
no,
like,
but you have to match the intensity. So if the guy's going, because I can't either, right?
Right.
But some fucking young guy, blue belt or whatever, and they're running circles around you. That doesn't mean you should be running circles in the opposite direction. But look at like Gustavo, he'll match the intensity, but he won't be running.
I know what
he
you
will.
mean.
Yeah, you know what I mean, right?
He's
But
good
you
at
match the
bring-
intensity.
He
of the
can
role.
bring
I know
you
what you
to
mean.
his game.
He's not like all of a sudden doing a cartwheel on you, but he's negating.
I
your
think
energy.
that Danaher has a saying about that where just because they're going fast, I think I've heard him say that, just because they're going fast doesn't mean you have to go as fast as them to stop them. Maybe you can slow them down to come down to your pace,
Right.
right? As opposed to you matching their pace.
Right.
Because that's not
But
going to work.
it takes the tempo, the intensity, and the energy has to match theirs,
Right.
And I'm not saying
Yeah.
tempo, you got to run as fast as them.
You've got to slow
But-
them down.
yeah, slow
like if you're
them
going
down.
against Andrew Taggett,
So
Right.
yeah,
they're going to
yeah.
have to
And that
catch
could-
him and then
Yeah.
That could be connection. There's different ways to slow them down, but I definitely
That's a skill, obviously. It takes
Agreed.
skill, but
that
yeah.
having an understanding beyond the fundamentals helps with preventing injuries too. Like
Absolutely.
a lot of people just sitting there, and especially now with all these crazy techniques, people now just grab your leg and you're out, and just
Yeah.
that could be prevented
Habits.
just with certain habits. So
Yeah.
those habits, like relearning those habits again, and just making sure you don't fall back and you got good frames. So if someone does explode on you, you're just ready, and that's where you match that intensity and things like that. Like
I've gotten my ankle popped because people would go for ankle lock, and I look at the time, and I'm like, it's 2 seconds left, and I don't realize that I'm waiting for the time to expire before I tap, so I don't tap. And it's not that I didn't want to tap or something, but I'm like, there's 2 seconds. What for?
right.
And then it popped
what your ego
with
is.
1 second to go. It popped on the
Yeah.
buzzer. Actually, it
I
popped.
think that was the ego that said, what?
It may
2 seconds.
it may have been an ego. It may have been just miscalculation,
Oh, you misinterpreted the time.
bad time management.
I'm gonna go with bad time management.
But
But your
again,
ankle's popped.
but again, I didn't match the intensity of the other person. In other words,
'cause you're
in
going
other
for
words, I was being like, all right, and he was being like, oh, I gotta finish that shit. You know,
Right.
like in other words, right?
right.
So
And that's a whole nother
I wasn't
topic.
in the same mind frame as him.
Right.
You know.
That's another topic. Is how many injuries that could have been prevented because the other person couldn't control themselves or things like that, and also tapping sooner. I definitely didn't tap in some shit where I was like, I should have tapped like
Right.
10 seconds ago. I don't want this motherfucker to get this, and my arm is fucking falling apart, and I don't feel it right now. And I'm gonna tap anyway. And it's
Yeah.
tomorrow. You're like, oh. And you're like, you should have just that served you for nothing.
Right.
On the flip side, has that happened to you? Because it's happened to me many times.
That's definitely happened to
You're on the flip side.
For us.
you go for a finish, and you see the clock, but they don't. And you go for a finish, and you know that you have about 10 seconds to finish, but you have such a good control. Let's say an armbar, and you're taking your time, and with about 2 seconds to go, you finish. They tap.
Yeah.
And then the time sounds, and they go like, "Oh fuck!" Like they regret the fact that they tapped.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, you did very well."
Yeah.
Not that I was gonna rip it just for the sake of it, but that's me.
mean,
That's
But
happened with
cool.
Gustavo.
I
Bunch.
mean, we call it, there's a thin line between the beast and the ego. I get it, but I think at the end of the day, it's your responsibility to not fuck your body up.
Correct.
For sure.
So, but
For sure.
No, I hear what
just
you're saying.
the fact that I'm going slow doesn't mean that everyone would. And
No, yeah, because you could have
I
just.
absolutely don't mind
you
if you
could've-
hold on to it, but for you to regret that you didn't tap, that you tapped
Well, it's a
to
thing
a
because you're
submission
like,
2 seconds before the clock,
yeah, it's a thing.
exactly what happened to
That's
me.
happened to me with Gustavo a bunch, where he's had me, and I'm just like, tap, buzzer, and I'm like, oh, I could have survived.
I've done that.
If I would have been looking at the clock, I might have even survived. But because I had no idea,
Or you
Right.
may have gotten injured too.
or I may have gotten injured.
That may be the, you know.
I tend to do that with lower belts. For some reason, higher belts, if you got me good, you got me. But like, imagine if like let's say a Tobias or something got you. I'm gonna be like, nah, you're not gonna, you know.
That's not ego. That's just
That's not ego. That's not ego at all. But yeah, nah. Save your limbs. At the end of the day, we're responsible for them $800 MRIs. you know what I mean? All that shit. Time out.
Yeah, I think that injury prevention comes from both parties, but you got to take care of yourself primarily, and that means definitely know when to tap, know who you're going with also, because sometimes you if you get a new guy, it doesn't matter. You can see that it's like you've seen him roll before that and all that. Just because you're better than that other guy, and he's bigger and he's spazzier and all that, you never know. I think I told you a story. You never know what they're gonna do, especially if they don't know what they're doing. If you're up against a good guy, their execution is better than yours, but you know pretty much what they're about to do. It's just that their execution is better than yours, so they do it anyway. If you go against a new guy, big, strong, athletic guy, you literally don't know what they're about to do. No telling what they're gonna do, and that's when you have to be sharp, and then
Yeah, and definitely, and it's okay to not roll with a motherfucker too.
That's okay. Yeah, that's totally fine. That's what I was saying. Pick your partners, but if you are gonna go with someone you don't know, you better expect anything. You can usually tell by the moment they grip you first.
Yeah. Or have a conversation. Just be like, hey, I'm gonna go 30, 40.
Well, that's the problem. If it's someone new and you don't, and who doesn't know what they're doing, 30, 40 to them means a number.
I get it. Like, definitely, it's about like the coop. You get new people.
Yeah.
I tend to kind of wait to see how people roll. Like, it's my own kind of like recon work. Like, nah, this person's wild.
And that's the best thing to do, I think.
I think that's the best thing.
I think that's the best too.
You got to kind of like, if they're super new, you know what I mean? It's like, I try to like wait to at least kind of like see their style, and I'm sure that they would want to do the same. Like, is this person spazzy? Like, it's back to your responsibility. Like,
yeah.
Well, folks, looks like when is that check coming? I was promised some money.
I told you it was gonna be here. It's under the table. It's cash.
Check my Venmo.
It's under the table.
Let me
Venmo. Isn't that the same app? That's the same app you were scrolling on earlier. What Venmo?
See if that money. Oh,
this fool.
Is that a good?
Whoa.
That's how they get you.
That didn't get a like. Anyway, thank you, Sean, for joining. Sorry to interrupt whatever you're doing.
I was doing my taxes, people. Appreciate you guys, man. This is dope.
Of course it is.
I ain't got no cauliflower ears.
We can't wait for you. He said, did you guys invite me only because someone else canceled? I said, yeah, Mike didn't want to show up. We invited Mike. He said, I don't do that twice a month.
That's not true. That's not true.
We'll never know.
We'll never know. Anyway, we'll see Sean soon enough, and next week
inside the octagon,
outside the octagon.
You guys remember Bruce Buffer?
Is that an octagon?
Yes.
That's the logo.
Yes. Yeah. Is that an octagon? It is, but it's kind of.
Is it?
It is.
You know what?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it is an octagon. Anyway, that's it for today.
Check out the brain on Brad. That was fun.